So everyone today's been talking about meeting up over coffee, but we discussed about catching up over coffee not being a particularly viable starting point, especially for government, and certainly not for all potential suppliers. So the problem statement is around we're potentially relying too much on coffee for those informal and collaborative conversations. So some of the barriers of that approach as being quite prevalent are around it quickly becomes about who you know, how good your networks are, rather than what your capabilities actually are. And that works potentially better in for private purchases of services, because they tend to have the people that you're meeting with over coffee with have the ability to make spending decisions. So the benefits of addressing this, we set that out as a problem statement, then we jumped a bit into solutions. But the benefits really are around levelling the playing field and actually meeting those objectives that the government's talking about in terms of encouraging smaller suppliers to participate in, particularly the tech marketplace, but it would work in any sort of marketplace. We picked on GETS as being a barrier, but also a potential solution to the problem too. So we looked at GETS around having more or a different type of early stage request for whatever it is stage in the process. So there's requests for informations, but there could be potentially an earlier, best formal version of that. Those current processes are quite reactive as well in terms of government puts a proposal onto GETS, but it doesn't give information about what are the potential solutions out there. It doesn't account for the danger money for suppliers as well in terms of putting effort into responding to a request, but not really knowing how likely it is that they'll be successful. And it's especially important for smaller suppliers. There was a bit of talk around creating a catalogue of past work through GETS that could be anonymised, and I guess that data could be much more widely available, and that way it becomes more of a repository of information about what are the problems and potential solutions out there, rather than what's the list of all the problems that the government needs solving at the moment. In terms of suppliers, there's a role to play there too. We talked about the role of agencies' statements of intent, for example, is setting out what are their objectives over the coming 4 or 5 or 6 years. That's a real opportunity for suppliers to read those and think about, well, how can they solve some of the problems that are set out in there, the challenges connecting with the right person, so there's a bit of a two-way conversation with government as well. And it's just another sort of potential solution or another thing for government to look at too, especially government agencies, is to look at what are those what are those spending permission policies that they might have internally, and what other sort of associated policies they've got, or internal policies that aren't necessarily ones that they have to be, haven't been imposed on them from externally. Cool.